But I guess my question for you is, if you become the vice president under a Trump administration, what will you guys do about the migrants that are already there, since they did arrive legally? And a follow-up to that, if you plan to deport them, how would you do that legally?
Well, look, this is a media and Kamala Harris fact check that I want to clarify and clear up right now. And here's now, the media loves to say that the Haitian migrants, hundreds of thousands of them, by the way, 20,000 in Springfield, but hundreds of thousands of them all across our country, they are here legally. And what they mean is that Kamala Harris used two separate programs, mass parole and temporary protective status. She used two programs to wave a wand and to say, we're not going to deport those people here. Well, if Kamala Harris waves the wand illegally and says these people are now here legally, I'm still going to call them an illegal alien. And illegal action from Kamala Harris does not make an alien legal. That is not how this works.
Yeah. Okay, so he's calling a legal act an illegal act.
Right.
If it were in fact illegal, the United States Supreme Court, who certainly ruled in Donald Trump's favor repeatedly at the end of the last term, would have deemed it illegal, but it wasn't illegal. And again, here's J.D. Vance. He's always insulted when people ask him basic questions that actually stops him from being able to bend the reality field into something that his boss, Donald Trump, might like. So what J.D. Vance just said there is he is going to deport in a way that Donald Trump said would be bloody. He is going to deport immigrants who are here legally. So if you're an illegal immigrant, you're going to be deported. And I think a lot of Americans would actually agree with that.
Right.
But if you're a legal immigrant, J.D. Vance says, you're still going to be deported. So legal immigrants who have been here for some time, this goes back to what Hillary Clinton said last hour. Just because you don't think it applies to you, if an autocrat gets in power, it could apply to you. And this is a great example, really, of two things. One, facts don't matter. And two, the law doesn't matter, because you said we're going to do, and this is what concerned you when Donald Trump said, when somebody said, well, who's going to be pardoned January 6th? Because whoever I think is going to be pardoned. I'll decide who's in jail. I'll decide who's not in jail here. He's saying when we're in the White House, we're going to decide what's legal and what's not legal. Supreme Court be damned.
And massive political acrobatics in that answer, where J.D. Vance says something cruel about what he's going to do, which is send legal immigrants away, deport them en masse. At the same time, he and Trump are somehow snowflakes, and they're victims of the media.
Always a victim.
Kamala Harris coming after them. They can't handle the media asking questions, and so they're so snowflakey.
Always a victim.
At the same time.
Listen, that's one of the great ironies. Is I remember in 2020 I started seeing flags that said for Donald Trump, blank your feelings, vote Trump. Mm-hmm. And then after Donald Trump loses, facts don't matter. Everybody said, we need to give him time for his feelings to move along so he can get his arms around this. Well, he never really did he? January 6th started. And now, 4 years later, you have most Republicans who are really being driven not by facts, not by reality, not by law, but when it comes to Donald Trump, by their feelings. They're always so triggered, and it's so sad. But here, another example. Here's J.D. Vance is saying, J.D. Vance is saying, why don't they fact check? I'm going to do a fact check. Why don't they fact check? And he does a false fact check where he says, what the Supreme Court has deemed legal, I'm going to determine is illegal, and we're going to throw them out anyway. But here's a fact check for you. The Wall Street Journal, Rupert Murdoch's Wall Street Journal, does reporting on this cat story. where it all began. They're eating dogs. They're eating your cats. Where did it start? It started with a Trump supporter who lost her cat, Miss Sassy. Yeah. And Miss Sassy, far from being eaten, Willie, in some bizarre voodoo ritual by a Haitian immigrant, Miss Sassy was instead downstairs in the basement, hiding.
Yeah,
and
Miss Sassy,
even after this wall, even after the reporting, as the subhead says, they just keep lying. Trump and Vance just keeps lying, even when the Republican governor is saying stop.
Yeah, and the woman at the center of that piece, deeply reported by the Wall Street Journal, said she first reported police, filed a police report. Her cat was missing, suspected maybe it had been taken by one of the neighbors, maybe a Haitian immigrant. Then she found Miss Sassy there in the basement and went next door and apologized to her neighbor for suggesting that perhaps that he or she had taken the cat. You would think
that's nice.
A person of it was it was nice.
No, it's not nice. I made a mistake. I thought you ate my cat. You didn't eat my cat.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. That's
My
nice.
bad.
That's what you want people to do. If
Right.
you accuse your neighbors of taking one of your pets and sacrificing and then consuming them in a bizarre voodoo ritual, and you got it wrong, it happens. You go next door and you apologize, right?
How many times have you said it, Joe? How many times have you said it? It's just the right thing to do.
I can't count. I can't even count. I can't even count.
But unlike that woman who went and apologized to her neighbor, you would think someone of integrity or character who wants to be a leader of this nation might be able to say, oh, okay, that story wasn't true. We're sorry that the elementary schools are being guarded by Ohio State troopers because people are threatening the schools. We're sorry they had to shut down the DMV. We're sorry the city hall is on lockdown because we perpetuated and fanned this lie based on a series of completely debunked. And when I say debunked, not just by the media, but by the people who first made the suggestions and the accusations. The very people at the center of these stories say, I was wrong, I apologize, I feel terrible for what's happened to Springfield because of it. You would think someone of character and integrity who wants to be commander-in-chief or the vice president might also knock on some doors and apologize and step away from the lie.
Especially if they were your constituents.
I don't understand it.
Exactly.
It's the politics of subtraction. It seems to not be working, but maybe it does in the Trump campaign's strategic mind.